We found the most insane transgender criminal yet. And here he is. Real looker, isn't she? All right. Let's see what this is about. Warning, this article contains descriptions of sexual violence. Reader discretion is advised. A violent serial sex offender who identifies as a transgender vampire has been convicted of sexually assaulting a developmentally disabled child in Wisconsin, was it Falco, after he was repeatedly released from prison at a high risk of reoffending. Nice. 35-year-old Adam Scott Hetke of Waukesha, Wisconsin, was found guilty on April 11th of first-degree sexual assault with use of a dangerous weapon and second-degree sexual assault of a mentally ill victim. Hetke sometimes goes by the aliases White Chocolate and Black Dragon, contradictorily, according to his non-compliant lifetime registration status on the Wisconsin Department of Corrections Sex Offenders Registry. He has also assumed the female alter egos Sabrina, Katie, and Morgan. Disgusting. The first picture, he doesn't actually look damaged, does he? He doesn't look evil or insane. Just all the rest of them, every single one. This will be a tendency of strategy towards strategies that work to trick and access vulnerable people. In July 2021, Hetke raped a 16-year-old girl and was released. Why? With the mental capacity of a kindergartner. Okay, so he has a type. At knife point, according to a copy of the criminal complaint obtained by Town Hall. Calling himself Morgan, Hetke told the child, who is severely delayed and cognitively functions at a 6-year-old level, he is part vampire and would bite her if she didn't obey his commands. Just, can we think of anyone eviler without going to, like, people who are famous for being evil? Hetke met the girl near a gas station and followed the victim back to her residence to purportedly watch a movie together. Inside the child's bedroom, locking the door behind him, Hetke turned on gothic music and applied goth makeup to the girl's face. There's the mental 6-year-old. Or maybe it's him, I don't know. Hetke then took off her clothes as well as his own, revealing a black one-piece bathing suit he had hidden underneath. Why? A pentagram tattoo on his upper right arm and a vampire cross with the devil's number, 666, inked on his lower left arm. That's disgusting. It will be okay, Hetke told the girl before grabbing her breast and her. She pleaded for him to get off her, but Hetke continued, telling the girl she needed to have sex with him or otherwise he'd hurt her. Hetke flashed a fixed blade hunting knife wrapped in paracord he had set on the bed next to them. Oh dear. And then he threatened to use the knife. That's horrible. Hearing a knock on the door, he hastily opened her bedroom window, removed the screen, and jumped through it to escape. The girl's mother ultimately reported the rape to the Waukesha Police Department, saying her daughter is unable to differentiate between who is a friend and somebody who was trying to harm her, will often make friends with anybody, and has a hard time with boundaries. The child said she had trusted Hetke, whom she previously spotted lurking around her apartment complex. Oh yeah, no, those are really trustworthy. No, I get it if she can't tell the difference. That's really, really, really bad. I would say the parents should have done more. It sounds like they were nearby, just weren't there quite in time. Yeah, there he is again, in more stupid clothing. Later on, during police interrogation, Hetke told detectives he could see that she has had a lot of troubles in her life and wanted to help her since he's been through a lot. Asked why he had leaped out of the girl's bedroom window, Hetke said he likes to jump out of windows because it's good exercise. Yeah, that's a response from a psychopath that doesn't care. A psychopath that knows he's been caught and doesn't care anymore. And they let him go. And his bicycle was right around the corner, so it was closer to leave that way. Last week, a 12-person jury found Hetke guilty on both sexual assault counts after roughly an hour and a half of deliberations. I'm really surprised it took that long, to be honest. At the case's outset, Hetke's court-appointed counsel entered into the record that his client wishes to be referred to as Morrigan. Hetke had tried to plead not guilty by reason of insanity, but a psychological exam found him sane enough to stand trial. Oh yeah, he's sane enough to stand trial, and he's sane enough to spend the rest of his life in prison for this. But a psychological exam, his defense attorney additionally requested a competency evaluation which determined Hetke was currently competent. Oh yeah, no. He sounds like he's awake and aware. He's just evil by design, if you like. Not literally design, you understand, but close enough. Hetke faces up to 60 years in prison for the first charge, a Class B felony, and up to 40 years behind bars for the second Class C felony. Is this not the one where they let him go? I thought they were describing the earlier. Sentencing schedule for June 7th will follow okay, hold on. Okay, let's keep reading. Will follow a pre-sentence investigation and assessment of Hetke's personal characteristics, criminogenic needs, risk factors and behavioral patterns that will help determine the correctional process. I think a lot of people in chat have an idea of what the correctional process here is, to be honest, and I don't think I'd stop you. However, Hetke will first face a jury trial for allegedly killing a man in Milwaukee. Oh, this guy's great. This guy's got so much going for him. According to a complaint in that case, Hetke had a role in strangling a man to death with a cord in April 2021. Like the cord he used on the knife, so it seems. Hetke told Milwaukee police the victim in that case was possessed by a demon. Yeah, that works, yeah. No, that makes sense. Yeah, no problem at all. And began stabbing himself in the chest with tongs. Oh yeah, no, people do that. Hetke said he was able to exorcise the demon, but the demon then caused the victim to wrap a cord around his neck and pull the ends. The complaint in that case, yeah, again, this is a psychopath who doesn't care. Who thinks that they're so great that even if they basically admit to their crime, that everyone else is so stupid that they can just say this stuff and they'll be believed. And maybe he's right. Maybe he grew up in a very broken home with a very unintelligent and unattentive parent. And so this happened. But looks like the jury didn't buy his story. So it sounds like 80 years. Was it 80 years? It's 100 combined sentence. One witness to the event said he was scared of Hetke, who claimed he could inject demons into people's bodies, the witness said. The complaint said Hetke, who also went by the name Morrigan, told another witness he would place a demon inside the victim and kill him because he disrespected him. Hetke allegedly admitted to a witness he killed the victim about a week later. A third witness, sister to the second, told authorities Hetke admitted killing the victim and said words to the effect of, "I killed him, God can't bring him back, but I can because I'm the devil," the complaint said. Yeah, no, this guy sounds very well adjusted. Despite the handful of witnesses, Hetke was released from police custody on administrative discharge, and official charges were not immediately filed. Why? Why? This was a murder investigation. And you had witnesses pointing at him. Why? 2 months later, Hetke was eventually charged thanks to the investigative work of the slain man's mother. You did not need... you didn't need a citizen investigation. This is nonsense. This is insanity. Who heard that witnesses weren't cooperating, but it wasn't until after Hetke, the 16-year-old mentally disabled girl. So he was released to girl, and now finally he's going to go down for both of those things. But not before the damage was done. It's disgusting. Being that they let this person go and commit another crime, it hurt, the homicide victim's mother told the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. It could have been prevented. Damn well could have done. Her special needs son, again, this guy's targeting special needs people, Vidale Thompson Moody, similarly suffered from a cognitive disability caused by a missing chromosome, so Downs, probably, and a range of other, they have more, sorry, my mistake, and a range of other serious health conditions, once requiring a tracheotomy, which I think is tube down the throat. Hetke is charged with first-degree intentional homicide, a Class A felony punishable by a minimum of life imprisonment. Sounds about right, yeah. Sato's conference is slated to take place on the morning of April 30th. The trial date is not yet finalized after a June timeline was vacated. There are 5 other open cases against Hetke, including a disorderly conduct citation he received in jail and 4 more alleging criminal damage to property for allegedly kicking his cell door, damaging the glass, and slamming a shower door until it broke. Yeah, this guy sounds like a real charmer. Back in 2007, Hetke forcefully groped a recreational assistant's breast at Ladd Lake, a residential facility housing Wisconsin's most challenged youth, again targeting the mentally handicapped. A struggle ensued when a then teenage Hetke had tried to pull the woman's shirt off. "Boobies," he remarked, exposing the staff worker's chest and squeezing one of her breasts. So, a situation where this guy is a very much an insane psycho but with also an extreme libido. So, very dangerous. Very dangerous. What are you doing? The woman frantically asked. I want to have sex with you, Hetka said, pressed up against a wall. The woman started swinging, and on the third try successfully made contact with Hetka's jaw. Hetka fell to the floor and remained lying on the institution's ground, saying, sorry, sorry, as she called for help. Bit late now, mate. Trying to protect himself. Make it sound like all a mistake. That's funny, though. He didn't think to fight back. As a result of Hetka's attack. Coward. Absolutely. As a result of Hetka's attack, the woman suffered lacerations to the neck, abrasions on her stomach, and a broken fingernail. So he's going after because he doesn't care about the other person. He just wants probably to dominate someone and to get sexual pleasure. But he's going after them also because he wants an absolute guarantee that he will be safe doing it. The moment there's any risk or anyone with a functioning brain approaches, he bolts or apologizes or becomes submissive. Extremely devious. Hetka pled no contest to second-degree sexual assault by use of force. For the felony, he was sentenced to 8 years in prison, plus 4 years of extended supervision, and was ordered to register as a sex offender as well as undergo sex offender treatment. 2 years later, he committed assault again. How? He was in prison. Oh, okay, in prison. This time targeting a corrections officer at the Racine Correctional Institute by tossing urine on the victim. The devil made me do it, he claimed, gloating that the prison guard deserved to get pissed on. Those two statements kind of contradict each other. Again, very brazen psychopath. Hetka was found guilty of throwing or expelling bodily fluids due to a no contest plea, and his disorderly conduct charge was dismissed as part of a plea agreement. Better have been a good one. The felony conviction resulted in an extra year of prison time and extended supervision. In 2018, Hetka inappropriately touched another Racine Correctional Institute employee in the state prison's stairwell. Quote, when she was walking, she felt something grab her right butt cheek. The victim said she turned her head and saw Hetka running back down the stairs and saw him look over his shoulder. Yeah, it's not sus at all. Reads the Racine County complaint. Hetka was also witnessed on 3 separate occasions running up behind female staffers and sniffing their butts along the staircase. Lovely. Hetka pled guilty to 4th-degree sexual assault, a misdemeanor, and spent 4 months in the Racine County Jail. Yeah, I don't think you can fix him, guys. I think it's too far gone. In 2016, the Waukesha County Sheriff's Department. This is why you do still need, I think, there is an argument for some sort of facility where people who are criminally insane, but who have not yet committed enough of a crime to go away for the rest of their lives, get lumped. And they should be, I don't know, you really don't want people that aren't criminally insane to end up there. I don't know how you achieve that, because that's horrible. But I think it's probably worse for them to be out offending. Bear in mind, Jack, that you guys saying execution, fine, whatever, I'm not going to contest it strongly, but my point is that when they've just done small crimes that you wouldn't execute someone for, but they're clearly a psychopath, they're clearly going to reoffend, I don't think killing them is justified there. And that's such an open door to abuse. But at that point, you need something to do with them, somewhere to put them where they're not going to be dangerous to the public. But of course, when they haven't done something to justify just killing them. Bear in mind, I'm talking about long before I'm talking about after the misdemeanor. Or in a different example where there's a misdemeanor, but they're clearly a psychopath. Hetka is considered a serious offender with a high probability to reoffend. Why did you release him then? It's going to be some solution to that. Local law enforcement warned. Yeah, no shit. In 2020, after serving time for the string of sexual assaults, Hetka was freed once again. Waukesha authorities issued another notification announcing Hetka's mandatory release on social media. By then, Hetka was identifying as a woman. Yeah, 2020. It was about time. Yeah, it's an easy advantage. Now, this is what I mean. The reason we're talking about this, chat, is not because he's a violent criminal. It's because he's a... That's the political angle. That's why it's in our docket, obviously. And you might think, well, it's just one example. It's one sample. Well, you might not, but others might think it's just one sample. But it's one sample of a pattern we've observed for a long time. This is a really bad example, but the pattern exists regardless. And the point is that, as it stands right now, transgenderism is one part abuse of the the transgender, quote unquote transgender person who isn't or wouldn't be under other circumstances and is being destroyed by the process. Right, there's all kinds of motivations for that, or none of them good. That's abhorrent. It's the mutilation of children in many cases. That's absurd that can ever happen. It's worse than lobotomy, probably. And then on the other side of the transgender population, you have these people, the predators. And that's not a good picture. It's probably the reason that we're not big fans of them. Now, the tiny sliver of people in the middle who actually have gender dysphoria still shouldn't be transitioned. That's not how you deal with a mental illness. But they're real transgender people. I suspect that the condition exists to some small extent, but nowhere near the scale it's got to now. And then, of course, even beyond that, there's dozens of percentages of the entire population who just adopt it as a fad. Maybe not dozens, but a lot of people who just adopt it as a fad, which masks the problem. Thank you, Anonymous, who again says, the old argument against harsh systems against our enemies was your enemies might use it against you someday. That argument only makes sense in a system where our enemies don't just make shit up on the fly to persecute us, but this is total war. The thing is, if you have harsh systems like that, and they're harsher than they need to be, then for a while, you will deal with the problem. But then gradually over time, people like this, but smarter, will take control of those systems. And then what do? Then it's no longer overcompensating and making the situation slightly better than it needs to be. Now it's a risk to you and your family's lives. Whereas if you had just picked a measure that would be an appropriate level of response, then it wouldn't have dealt with the problem necessarily exactly as quickly. Maybe it would deal with the problem immediately as quickly, but it wouldn't have overcompensated. It might not have gone too far. Maybe some aspects of the solution are slower, but then once it's taken over by psychopaths, it's much harder for them to use it against you. And so they probably won't even try. They'll go somewhere else where it's easier. So I'm not saying you can't have strong measures. I'm saying that if you do, that is where the perpetrators are going to be in the future. Of course, things change. Loads of things change. Those of these factors can change. But if unchanged, that's what will happen. If things change, then it'll follow the same rough pattern, but in a different way. So it's worth considering. But what's happening right now, Anonymous, is exactly what you're describing what I'd be saying is. That yes, our opponents take control of them and use them against us. Or what was it you said exactly? Enemies don't just make shit up on the fly. Yeah, no, that's what this is. Our enemies have control of too many institutions, so they can get away with, as you say, making up shit on the fly to persecute us. They couldn't do that if they didn't have control. If someone, some random person comes up in the street and accuses you of something. Maybe for a few minutes, people are bemused. Maybe one or two people in the audience believe the guy. But generally speaking, you're not going to suffer any serious legal consequences as a result of just some random accusation. But if it comes from an institution, given perceived legitimacy, but an institution that's been captured by bad people, then it can destroy your life. So it's not just making up shit. It is the capturing of institutions which are more powerful than they should be. Like the FBI. Which, I'm not an American, but I know from observation, it's a later innovation to the system, which was the power of which was not properly accounted for in terms of the accountability patterns of the nation. So there's oversight, quote unquote, on the FBI, but not enough to account for the power it has, so the bad people go there. Because they can get away with more bad things there. Exactly in the same way that this psycho killer became a... They just flow like water to wherever they can get the most abuse done with the least oversight.